Hello everybody, today I've got another lightsaber commission to show you guys. This is the OWK2 from TheSaberArmory. This lightsaber install was a pretty unique one. I got to install it with a Verso for the first time ever. And since this is the first time I've ever installed with that soundboard, I did learn a few new things, so I'll be sharing that with you guys once we get into it. I guess I have nothing else left to say, so let's just get right into it. The OWK2 is pretty much exactly the same as the OWK1, except for a few design details. The most noticeable is the chrome, but you've also got the sort of flat metal circle window things that are sort of plastic, sometimes are windows in the episode 1 version, and then there's no purple hemi in here, it's just brass. It's not knurled here, it's flat, and then you've got this brass indent, and that's, oh, and also lack of holes in the pommel cubes. So that pretty much covers all of the differences, and since this was made by the TheSaberArmory, it's the exact same install as the OWK1. They share exactly the same dimensions and internals, so they actually share a chassis as well. So it works exactly the same, which was pretty nice because I learned a lot of things with the first install, so it went a lot smoother with this one. I did the same thing as I did last time. I glued the Allen key screw. I glued that into the CoverTech knob, so you don't have to have an extra or an I guess you don't need an extra Allen key to take it off whenever you want to have access to the battery, the kill switch, and the soundboard. So, excuse me, you just unscrew it, and then you can turn it, and you've got access to the inside. If you want to have access to the soundboard, you do take all of that off, and inside you've got the soundboard. Whenever you need access to the SD card, you just press it and pull it out. As easy as that. So you put it in. What I found with the Verso is it seems very, very similar to a CFX, except it's much more simple, because if for those of you who don't know, Verso is like a starter board. It's very new. Well, I wouldn't say it's new. It's been out for a few years now, but it's a board that you'd start with if you're just getting into lightsabers. It's much cheaper than all the other lightsaber soundboard options out there, and then it's also easier to customize and whatnot, so it's a lot more basic than the rest, but it's a good option for beginning if you were to install it yourself, or if you didn't want to bother with learning all of the extra config stuff and whatnot. In any case, what I'm saying next is going to go towards the new owner of this lightsaber, the one who commissioned this. All of the information you need to customize this is going to be in the description below. I'll have to get some new links down there, but I'll have the manual, I'll have the firmware, and the basically instructions, but the manual is going to go over all of that. But all the links you need are going to be down there. Okay, what else to say about this? It went a lot easier than my other install, because I know this time that I have to install the bottom and the top separately and then connect them in the middle, and that's actually how you install this thing, how you're supposed to. So I did that, and it worked out quite well. The speaker is the main thing I want to talk about with this lightsaber. What I learned is that with a Verso, it actually works best with a 28mm 8 ohm speaker, or an 8 ohm 28mm speaker. So let me get that for you. And Khal from the TheSaberArmory was super, super kind, and was kind enough to send this for free with a little note on it saying that 8 ohm is better for Verso. So thank you, Khal, so much for that. It was incredibly generous of you. Unfortunately, there's not really an easy way for me to install that with this particular chassis, because as I discovered, this chassis has a very, very tight space with the speaker. It's cut exactly to size. It's designed exactly to size for a 4 ohm 28mm speaker, which I learned are completely different in dimensions for height. So I'll show you in a little bit. But in any case, while there's still 28mm diameter, the height is ever so slightly different. I don't exactly know why, but that's just how it is. And oh, there goes my cat. Hopefully she doesn't interrupt too much. But yeah, I was unable to put that in because the chassis itself is quite thin. If I were to shave down the base, or the part that this is sitting on, it would go straight through and it would pretty much break the chassis, so I wouldn't be able to do that. And if I were to install the speaker the 8 ohm speaker in here while it's sticking up, then I wouldn't be able to screw this in all the way, and I don't have the tools to like shave down the inside of the pommel or something because it's very nicely made, and I don't have the tools for that. That's very, very out of my wheelhouse. So my customer said to just go with the 4 ohm speaker, and then he'd hold on to the 8 ohm for a future build. But yeah, it's a bit unfortunate we weren't able to do that, and I did learn why 8 ohm is better. A 4 ohm is not quite as effective as getting the sounds out without distortion from the Verso, because from what I found is in order to get this not crackle, you have to lower the sound by a lot in order to make it work. So I had to do a lot of micro adjustments to make this as loud as I could with the fonts that I have installed on here. I have the Kyberphonic OB2, I believe, both of the fonts included in that package. I have that on here, and I had to reduce the volume down quite a bit for both the smooth swing and the main volume, and I had to balance that out in order to get the speaker not to crackle but still have it be as loud as I could. So that is the downside of that, but everything else works really well. It's very easy to customize. It's very easy to learn the basics on how to customize a lightsaber, and it's actually very similar to CFX in terms of the config. So you'd be able to figure that out and then grow from there and move on to a CFX, then a Profi, and it's a very good entry point into learning the customization aspect of things. In any case, let's get right into it. I glued down the chassis with some E6000 down there because whenever you take out the battery, this part would lift up. So I glued it down so it wouldn't have to go anywhere. It's also held in place by this set screw. So this thing is not going anywhere. It's solidly in place. This is held down by the set screw over here. You don't ever need to take that out. This here is the blade retention screw. And then that is pretty much all you need to know. So let's put in a battery. This side is the positive. Positive goes towards the emitter, negative goes towards the speaker. You can just plop it in. And then you switch it on. Sometimes it makes a noise, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know exactly what dictates that. I'm still learning all of this, but I did do some customization of my own to get this working. So let's put it all back together. If I can just align it properly. There we go. Hopefully you can hear that. This is the OB2 font. So the red is the activation. The brass, I guess, is the auxiliary. I did have to do the same modification as I did with the OWK1, and I extended this button ever so slightly in order to press the button of the chassis. If you see here, I don't know if I can show you properly, but if you see here, I 3D printed a little black circle ring, sanded it down so that it was just the right height to be able to press the button and not really intrude on the visuals of the button itself. If you can kind of see that, there you go. And then we screw it in. And if it'll focus, try zooming in. Sometimes zooming in helps. There we go. I have it just perfect. So when you press it, just barely doesn't touch the chrome. So I think that is a job well done there. Now, this is going to cycle through the font. I'm back at the beginning. So activation is the red, auxiliary is the brass. Very straightforward controls. When the blade is off, you can tap the auxiliary and it goes forward in the font banks. We just have 6 fonts in here. We've got the 4 standard ones and the 2 that my customer wanted me to add. There we go. And then when you want to turn on the lightsaber, you just tap it, I believe. There we go. So it looks like it just froze for a second. If it ever freezes, you just cycle the power, just unscrew this, go through, and then just turn it off, turn it on, and then it'll work. More troubleshooting stuff seems to be at the bottom of the manual, all the common issues that occur with Verso. It goes over all that stuff. So let's just
you disappoint me.
go through here. And as you hear, there's no speaker distortion, but it is a bit quiet. What I found is the standard fonts that come with the Verso are actually much more equipped to work with Verso, so they tend to be a lot louder. Let's zoom out a little bit here. You can definitely hear that. It's much louder than the Kyberphonic font. That's because I had to turn down the Kyberphonic font quite a bit in order to make it not distort the speaker. This one, I believe, is their default. I like this one a lot, actually. To turn it off, you just hold it for a long press, I guess. So you turn it off, turn it on, and then hold it for a long press. And then this one is green. Of course, you can change the colors and the blade profiles. Right now, I believe it's got... I don't remember how many colors there are, but there are 4 blade profiles on there, I believe. It's all the standard ones that come with Verso. I did add 1 blade profile, though, in order to get some of the effects that I wanted. This one's a fire blade. I'll show you that in a minute. And then...
Obi-Wan.
Right. To cycle through it has to be a quick tap, not a long tap. I keep messing that up. But let's put on a blade, and then we'll call it a day. So the set screw, loosen it up, and you've got your blade plug there. It takes a 1-inch blade, if I can just... my desk is very busy right now. I like to stand it up, and then put the blade in. And then hold it while I screw in the retention screw. So there we go, we've got the blade. There we go. So one of the things I did was make my own blade profile in order to get the blaster blocks and the lockup to be different than the standard one. So the blaster bolts randomize where it goes, and I have them at a few pixels in length here. So it randomizes along the blade. And then when you do a lockup, it's about 50% of the blade, but right in the middle. The standard one was actually just at the top, which was a bit strange. So it's right in the middle, which I think is pretty nice. And I have that blade profile set up for all but the fire blade, and then with a slight flicker.
Master Kenobi, you disappoint me.
Same blade profile, same color. And again, to customize it, definitely check out the manual. It's got links to videos and stuff that TheSaber's made. It's the red one. And then blue. Green. And this is the fire blade. Fire blade's pretty cool. It's got a mix of red and orange just going up. And then when you do blaster blocks, a white flash goes up.
Obi-Wan.
And the only other control that I believe it does is when the blade is on and you press both the activation and auxiliary at the same time, it goes into the presets. And it has 3 stages, 3 preset stages. The first one is the color, so you can twist the blade in order to pick what color. I'll just go back to blue so I don't screw anything up. And then when you press, you choose it by pressing the auxiliary. You just do a short tap. I believe. Or long press. I don't remember the controls exactly. Okay, so hold down the activation button and then it selects it. And then the blade profile, the same deal. Got the fire blade, heavy flicker, medium flicker, no flicker. We'll go on medium flicker and just hold down the activation. And then it goes to the third stage. Actually, it might have gone through all the stages. No, it goes through the fonts. That's what it is. So it chooses the fonts. If you hear... It's a slight difference because there's not too much of a dramatic change. But you can definitely hear the flame blade. There we go, and then you select it. So after you go through all three stages is when you can go back to the normal function of this lightsaber. In any case, that about does it for showing off this lightsaber. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed checking out this OWK2 and checking out what the Verso can do. It's been fascinating to see the difference between Verso and what I normally work with, which is CFX and Profi. Now, the last thing I did forget to mention about this lightsaber was taking out the battery. When you take out the battery, all you have to do is remove the cover tech there, turn it around. I would get a pair of tweezers or something, or you could just use your finger. You could pull it out from the top and then just pull it out, and then you're all good to go. It's very easy, straightforward, and simple. You don't even need any tools for it. So I hope you enjoy, and thank you all for watching. Once again, check out my future projects. I've got a lot of cool stuff waiting for you guys.